Hi, gang, it's Adam.
And Patrick.
Coming up on today's show, we'll be talking about Broadway Princess Party, Disney news, rumors, and its slate of movies opening before year-end. We'll kick off our Take Two series by discussing Bambi, and we'll close out the show, as always, with some Quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Patrick.
Well, hello there, Adam.
Hello. We're recording a bit early this week.
We sure are on a brisk Tuesday evening.
I'm a little sleepy.
Well, it's about 6:30, so it's 1 hour past my bedtime.
I am heading down to Halloween Horror Nights this weekend, and that is why we're having to record just a bit early this week.
That sounds incredibly scary, Adam.
It is incredibly scary.
Now, I love a haunted house, but I've never been to Halloween Horror Nights. You have been.
I have. I don't recommend going. Why am I going again?
Because you're a glutton for punishment, I guess.
I definitely am.
Okay.
But we'll have a mini trip report when I get back.
I look forward to your return.
This week, we had some great people reach out to us on social media. We always appreciate that.
We sure do.
KLVNC on Instagram sent us a lovely, lovely message.
Oh, thank you.
His name is Kelvin, and he's from Vancouver, British Columbia.
Are you saying we have international followers?
We do indeed.
Amazing.
We also had Austin.Lin16 reach out to us, and couldn't have been more lovely. Just a nice, nice guy.
I love that. Thanks, everybody. We really appreciate those comments.
We definitely do.
Well, speaking of comments, Adam.
Yes.
We have our very first Gays Do the D contest.
I am incredibly excited.
You should be. Through October 5th, if you follow or like us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or do all three, and then leave us a comment on those, or review us on the Facebook page, or at us on Instagram and Twitter, we will randomly select one person who's going to win a 25th anniversary Nightmare Before Christmas die-cast metal figure set.
No one gets it. I'm taking it. I want it.
You can't. I'm sorry, Adam. I'm usually a yes man, but I'm a no man today.
Them's the rules.
That's right. You can see a picture of that die-cast set on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Once we have selected a winner, we will DM them, that's direct message, for their details, and then we'll announce that winner on our October 8th episode.
This is so exciting. So people, as you know, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at GDTD Podcast.
Get on there and follow us, like us, share us with your friends. Just use us, really.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
We can't wait to hear from you.
Adam.
Patrick.
I have a discussion topic for you.
Here we go.
You know, last week we had a little bit of a more serious topic, and I wanted to lighten things up this week. Last month here in Minneapolis, we went to the Broadway Princess Party.
Fantastic time.
How much fun did you have?
It was fabulous.
It was 2 hours of pure joy.
For those of you that don't know, this was originally produced at Feinstein's 54 Below in NYC.
Mm-hmm.
That's New York City.
Yeah.
The Big Apple.
You knew that.
And then the ladies took it on the road.
They sure did, those smart gals.
And the cast includes Laura Osnes.
Minnesota's own Laura Osnes, I might add.
And she starred in Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella on Broadway.
She sure did, for which she was nominated for a Tony Award for Best Actress in a Musical.
Well deserved.
That's right.
The show also includes Susan Egan, the original Belle in Disney's Beauty and the Beast on Broadway.
She also was the voice of Meg in Disney's Hercules, which I absolutely love. I lost my mind when I saw she was going to be in the show.
She's just incredible. I had the opportunity to see her as Belle on Broadway when I was just a gay teen.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Learning things.
It brought back incredible memories for me.
I'm sure it did.
And Courtney Reed, the original Jasmine from Disney's Aladdin on Broadway, was also in the cast.
She was spectacular. She was just a sparkle of joy and bliss. I loved it.
She was incredible. And the musical director is Benjamin Rauhala, and he's also known as their fairy godfairy.
He is so delightful. I could watch a show just of him.
He is whip smart and very, very funny.
That's correct.
And the night we went, we got very, very lucky because we got to see Broadway's original Aladdin, Adam Jacobs, who was our prince for the night. Very, very handsome, very, very talented.
Yeah, I was captivated anytime he sang.
And a megawatt smile.
I would say you could see it from where we were sitting, which was in the balcony.
Cheap seats.
Mm-hmm.
Broadway Princess Party is currently touring around the country. They're going to be in Houston, Texas on October 13th, Columbus, Ohio on October 14th, Overland Park, Kansas on January 18th, Lincoln, Nebraska on January 19th, Bothell, Washington on January 26th.
For where can they get tickets, Adam?
They can get tickets at BroadwayPrincessParty.com, and it's an incredible time. We recommend anybody check it out.
That's right. Were there any highlights for you of the show?
I really love Susan Egan.
Yeah, she's incredible.
She's hilarious.
And so gifted.
She was mocking her own age a lot of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really beautiful to listen to her perform songs as Belle.
That's right.
And then turn it right around and realize I am now the appropriate age to play Mrs. Potts. And then she sang Beauty and the Beast.
Which was one of the showstoppers of the evening, I would say.
It was so, so beautiful.
Yeah, I recommend highly going to see this show. It's really for anyone, all ages, all genders, children, adults. People were dressed up, which was amazing, in their favorite Disney characters.
We saw some great cosplay. I saw a wonderful Snow White. What was a highlight for you, Patrick?
I think for me was seeing Laura Osnes perform again. She's such a gift, and it's so cool that she came from Minnesota. You know, she grew up here and performed at the Children's Theater as well as Chanhassen Dinner Theater, I believe. And she went on to that show. What was that show called? Grease, You're the One That I Want.
You're the One That I Want.
Where she landed the role of Sandy in Broadway's Grease. So just seeing her trajectory from a young girl from Minnesota all the way to a Broadway star is pretty inspiring.
So if you have the opportunity, we give it a full Adam and Patrick recommendation. Broadway Princess Party touring the country now. Tickets can be purchased at BroadwayPrincessParty.com. Hey Patrick, how about we have a chat about some Disney news and rumors? An all-new nighttime spectacular is replacing Illumination's Reflections of Earth at Epcot.
I'm excited and sad about this, I have to say.
It is a little bittersweet, isn't it?
Yeah, I really, really love that show. I think it's maybe my favorite nighttime spectacular at Disney.
I totally agree with that. The current version of Illuminations debuted in October 1999 as part of the Walt Disney World Millennium Celebration.
That's almost 20 years ago, yeah?
It is.
That's a long time for a show to run.
And the new show will debut immediately following the conclusion of Illuminations.
All right. That's pretty exciting, though. It's always good to freshen things up a bit.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think what they'll do is probably going to be amazing.
It's going to illuminate our lives.
We've been promised that the new show will keep true to the original version of the park.
Oh, that's good. It's got a great message, I feel. I always get a good, warm feeling after I watch that.
I do, too. You know, it's interesting because in 2016, Disney produced the Holiday Drone Show at Disney Springs. Do you remember that?
Vaguely. I don't think I ever saw it, but I remember hearing about it.
It was this beautiful show comprised of flying drones.
That's crazy.
That would basically make images in the sky.
It sounds a little terrifying.
Yeah. So there is some speculation that perhaps that was kind of a test for something they could do over the World Showcase Lagoon at Epcot.
Wow, that's really fascinating. I feel like there's ample opportunity to sort of switch up the show whenever they want to if they're using drones.
Len Tester recently reported that Skymosphere...
That's a great name.
The phrase Skymosphere was trademarked in August.
Well, that sounds like a little hint to what we're about to see, isn't it?
It does. It could be related to that. It could also be related to Disney Skyliner, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But the new show at Epcot joins additions like Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster and the new space-themed table service restaurant in Future World and the Ratatouille attraction coming to the World Showcase in the France Pavilion.
All of which are supposed to roll out just before the 50th anniversary, is that right?
I believe so.
Okay, that's pretty good timing.
So some pretty big changes coming to Epcot in the next few years. Here's something straight out of the rumor mill. The forthcoming Disney Skyliner is not going to be air-conditioned.
That sounds like a trap.
For those of you that don't know, the Disney Skyliner is a gondola system that is going to be constructed or is currently being constructed.
That's right.
Between several Disney resorts and Epcot and Hollywood Studios.
It's sort of like a monorail in the sky.
It's like those sky buckets that used to run through Fantasyland to Tomorrowland in Magic Kingdom.
Oh, sure, and we have them at our state fair here in Minnesota.
Patrick, how would you like to ride the Skyliner at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a hot, hot July Orlando day?
Adam, how would you like me to slap you in the face?
That is a fair rebuttal.
Okay.
Ziploc has started offering free bags to guests at Splash Mountain in the Magic Kingdom.
Protect those phones.
That is the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So guests now have the option of selecting a free plastic zipper bag prior to boarding the ride.
Okay, now I'm going to put my Mickey pretzel in there instead of my phone.
That is a very smart move.
Thank you.
Guests can keep the bags, or they can recycle them in the bins at the attraction exit or at another recycling location somewhere on property.
I think it's a super cute idea, but I question it because Disney just went through this resurgence of getting rid of plastic items in the parks. They removed all the straws and the lids from cups, so this feels like an addition of possibly garbage in the parks.
It did seem like they're really trying to push a more sustainable approach to their business model, and now suddenly we're adding plastic into the situation. So I understand the want to provide guests a way of protecting their electronics, but this doesn't necessarily seem like the right move in my opinion.
Yeah, that sounds right. Although we did post a picture, or I don't know if it's a real picture or if it's just sort of a mock-up, but they did look pretty heavily branded, so people may want to hold on to those as souvenirs instead of just tossing them aside. So maybe that's why they did that.
It is a free souvenir. Ziploc presents Splash Mountain. Adventures by Disney is now offering new short escape vacations for 2019.
I love this idea, I have to say. I think it's a really smart way to get people who aren't looking for a long, extended vacation, just a nice short excursion.
The new shorter vacations include Boston, London, and Vancouver. Oh, Kelvin.
Hey!
We can go see Kelvin now.
I like it. Let's do that. I'm actually really excited about that Vancouver one. It seems like it's an outdoor adventure one.
It sounds incredible.
With some zip lining and some foodie walks.
It does, and it also includes a grizzly bear habitat at Grouse Mountain.
Oh, now you've terrified me.
The Boston trip also sounds great. It includes a guided tour along the Freedom Trail and an after-hours visit to the Boston Tea Party ships and museum.
That sounds super exciting, as does the London trip, which gets you a exclusive viewing of the Crown Jewels.
I would love that. It also includes a high-speed boat ride along the River Thames and a private guided tour of Westminster Abbey.
So it's kind of like a James Bond tour.
It is. The Boston tour runs select dates May through October 2019. The London trip runs select dates July, August, and September 2019. And the Vancouver trip runs select dates May through September 2019.
What's kind of cool about these trips is that you can use them as add-ons to your current Adventures by Disney vacation, or they can be a standalone.
The London trip, I know, can be an add-on to a cruise if you'd like.
Wow, that sounds like the most amazing vacation ever.
Bookings opened last Thursday, September 20th, and to book, you can visit adventuresbydisney.com.
And invite me.
Patrick, some pretty big changes are coming to entertainment at the parks.
I'm scared, Adam.
Oswald the Lucky Rabbit character meet and greet at Disney California Adventure has been retired.
That's really sad news. Now, Oswald was the original character before Mickey Mouse, is that right?
He was the original character.
Wow. So is there an explanation of why they're doing this?
There is not an explanation. At least we're not aware of it.
Okay, well, Mickey Mouse just decided to be the boss, the only boss in charge.
That's right. And I'm kind of sad because I was looking forward to doing this meet and greet on my upcoming trip.
So it won't be there by that time?
He's gone already.
Oh, wow, that was quick. They just pulled him right out of there.
The end of September will see the end of several attractions at Walt Disney World.
Yikes.
Captain Jack's Pirate Tutorial at Magic Kingdom is ending at the end of this month.
That surprises me. That always seemed to be a pretty popular crowd whenever I've been there.
I have to say, I'm going to miss seeing Captain Jack out there in Adventureland, swanning about, a little tipsy.
That's right, with his shirt just unbuttoned enough.
Just enough, teaching the kids how to be a swashbuckler. The Star-Lord and Baby Groot meet and greet inside Walt Disney Presents at Disney's Hollywood Studios is also ending.
I'm bummed I didn't do that one.
I do love me some Baby Groot.
Yeah.
And that little Baby Groot was so cute.
Yeah, I saw a couple videos of it, and it was adorable, but I'm sad I didn't get to see it live.
Also at the studios, several of the characters that appear as part of the Citizens of Hollywood will be making their final appearances.
That's a bummer. They were so fun to interact with.
I remember going the year the park opened and seeing those same characters.
Wow. Now, I wonder, are they replacing them with more just Star Wars characters as the park slowly becomes more of a Star Wars-themed park?
It does feel like the park is in a state of transition right now.
Sure.
I'm curious to see how many of the remaining Citizens of Hollywood will hold on.
I hope they keep a few of them going, right?
They will keep a few of them going for now.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if this is just a sign of more changes to come at the studios.
I'm sure it is. Ever evolving.
Moving over to Animal Kingdom, Rafiki's Planet Watch is moving to a seasonal schedule.
Okay, so you have to wait to get on that 15-minute train ride out to Rafiki's Planet Watch.
That's right. The Wildlife Express won't even run until the holiday season. So it's ending at the end of the month and won't run until the holiday season begins.
I wonder if they're going to start prepping this for a different themed section of the park there.
That's been a rumor for quite a long time.
I've been wanting it to be a Zootopia area myself.
I think a lot of people want that.
Who knows?
What do you think happens to the animals that are just hanging out at Rafiki's Planet Watch when no one's there?
Pizza party.
Star Wars: A Galaxy Far, Far Away at Disney's Hollywood Studios is closing for 5 weeks beginning September 29th for concrete work in the area of the stages. Do you know what I call Star Wars: A Galaxy Far, Far Away at Disney's Hollywood Studios?
Do tell.
Star Wars fashion show. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
They walk out on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Vader,
Oh,
Chewbacca,
I have seen this.
C-3PO.
That's right.
They pose for a bit,
Okay.
and they walk off stage.
They sure do. They shoot their guns into the air once in a while as well. I guess I just didn't know that's what it was called.
That is what it's called.
Okay. I've got a hot D tip for everyone. If you want to get some great photos of those Star Wars characters, right after that show ends, stand behind the stage, and all of the characters will march back toward Star Wars Launch Bay, and they will pose for pictures with you. It's a really good secret opportunity.
I usually just stand back there and ask for their phone numbers.
Oh, how does that work for you?
Not so hot. Move It, Shake It, Dance, and Play It Street Party is ending December 1st.
Oh my goodness, the party comes to an end.
Are you a big fan of this street party?
I have to admit to you, I've never actually seen it.
It's loud.
Yeah, I've heard it. I've definitely heard it from across the parks, but I've never joined in the fun.
You know, when Move It, Shake It ends, Festival of Fantasy will be the last surviving parade in all of Disney World.
It's a great parade.
It is.
I love that. I really love that parade, but it seems we're in need of more parades.
The good news is that a replacement parade is coming in early 2019.
That's exciting. Any news on that?
There's a rumor,
Mm-hmm.
and you know I love me a rumor.
Rumor has it.
It's going to be themed around Mickey's 90th birthday.
Oh, that's clever.
It makes sense because a lot of the floats in the Move It, Shake It street party are present-shaped, or if not already presents.
I wonder if they're going to do sort of a through the decades theme.
That would be great.
I would love that.
Mickey through the decades. Do you think they're going to have 90-year-old Mickey just up there with a cane and a shawl?
I hope so. I hope he's knitting.
Or maybe like taking a Boniva?
Mm-hmm. He naps every 3 minutes.
A lot of soup for 90-year-old Mickey. He's constantly requesting soup. Patrick, the holiday season is right around the corner.
I couldn't be more excited.
And do you know what that means?
Movies, movies, movies.
We've got some pretty amazing movies coming out from Disney in the next 3 months.
We sure do. Some real big headliners.
We kick it off with The Nutcracker and the Four Realms, and that opens on November 2nd.
I am actually very excited about this movie and a little nervous about it at the same time.
Why nervous?
Well, I love The Nutcracker, and I'm nervous that they're not going to pay enough attention to the dance in this one and more attention to the script.
That's a very good point.
Thank you.
So this is directed by Lasse Hallström, who directed The Cider House Rules and Chocolat and A Dog's Purpose. And it is also directed by Joe Johnston, who directed Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
One
and
of my favorites.
Yes, and The Rocketeer, Jumanji, Captain America, First Avenger. It's definitely a Disney veteran and then a Disney kind of newbie, co-directors.
Yeah, it should be an exciting pair. I'm excited to see what they do with this.
The movie stars Keira Knightley, Mackenzie Foy, Eugenio Derbez, Matthew McFadden, Richard E. Grant, Misty Copeland, Helen Mirren, and Morgan Freeman.
That is a stellar lineup. In fact, I don't know if you know, Misty Copeland was the first African-American female principal dancer at the American Ballet Theater.
She is extremely talented, and I'm very excited to see her in this movie.
So gifted.
We've got Helen Mirren playing the villain, Mother Ginger.
That's exciting. I really love her and everything she does. She kind of brings a oomph to all of her roles.
There seems to be a really strong war element to this film. It seems like the four realms are kind of in conflict with each each other.
It's got a real Alice Through the Looking Glass feel to it.
That's exactly what I think. It's very Alice. It's very The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
There's some homages to Fantasia even in the trailer.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be sort of an epic adventure.
But what's going on with Keira Knightley's voice in this movie?
It's a little odd, isn't it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like a drunk fairy, maybe.
That makes me more interested in seeing this movie.
Okay, well, maybe we're in for a surprise there.
Ralph Breaks the Internet opens November 21st.
This seems like an exciting movie, Adam. What do you think about it?
I'm pretty excited to see it.
Oh, you don't seem super excited to see it.
I'm somewhat excited to see it.
Okay, fair enough.
This, of course, is the sequel to 2012's Wreck-It Ralph.
That's right, with Sarah Silverman and John C. Reilly.
I love both of them.
They're great. It's funny, they're more geared toward an adult audience, right?
That's very true, so it is interesting to see them in a more family-friendly setting. This is directed by Phil Johnston, and fun fact, this is Phil Johnston's first feature as a director, but he wrote Zootopia and Wreck-It Ralph.
Another fun fact is he's from Minnesota.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, Minnesota representing today.
It's co-directed by Rich Moore, who directed Zootopia and Wreck-It Ralph.
What?
There seems to be a real theme with these movies. Two directors, one kind of a more Disney veteran, and the other kind of a newbie.
Sure. It seems like a good mix, though, right?
Also in the cast, Taraji P. Henson, Gal Gadot, Ed O'Neill, Jane Lynch, who I also love, and Jack McBrayer of 30 Rock fame.
Additionally, a lot of the princesses from previous Disney movies are making cameos in this movie as well.
And that is the scene that everyone's talking about. It's all over the trailer. You see all of the classic Disney princesses.
I have to say, when I saw that part of the trailer, that's the part that made me a little iffy on the movie, that it was going to be a little too gimmicky.
Oh, sure.
Whereas Wreck-It Ralph was a pretty original story, and this one, the trailer made me think that they were going towards some old standbys.
The plot centers around Ralph and Vanellope traveling to the internet, and this includes a visit to Oh My Disney, and that's when things get really meta.
Yeah, this seems like it's gonna take us to places we haven't been before in a Disney movie. That is really self-referential.
Perhaps it's a little too nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Who can say?
Mary Poppins Returns opens December 19th.
I just started crying as you were saying that sentence.
Did you watch this trailer?
That's why I'm still crying.
I got chills watching this trailer. It is a sequel, of course, to the 1964 classic Mary Poppins starring Julie Andrews. Rob Marshall is directing Mary Poppins Returns, and he, of course, is the director of Chicago, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, and Into the Woods.
Yeah, he's real famous for directing musicals, so I'm excited to see what he does with this movie.
And another very prominent Disney director. Emily Blunt, of course, is playing Mary Poppins.
I love her so much.
Lin-Manuel Miranda is playing Jack.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, who is he? Ben Winshaw and Emily Mortimer play the Banks children, but they're all grown up now.
That's right. Emily Mortimer, I love her from The Newsroom.
Oh, she's incredibly talented.
Yeah, she's comic gold.
Rounding out the cast is this list of nobodies.
Uh-oh.
Colin Firth.
Who?
Meryl Streep.
Meh.
Angela Lansbury.
Blech.
Dick Van Dyke.
Who's that?
Dick Van Dyke is 92 years old.
Let's all pause and give him a round of applause.
And did you see in the trailer, he is dancing on a desk.
He's dancing up a storm, and I can't get enough of it.
Another reason I'm very excited for this movie is that it includes 2D animation.
Now explain what that is.
2D animation is hand-drawn animation similar to what we saw in the original Mary Poppins when they popped into the chalk pavement picture.
Okay, an iconic moment in movie history.
It is, absolutely, and it seems like they're kind of nodding to that from the original film.
There are a lot of Easter eggs in this trailer, aren't there?
Yes, there are.
In fact, the kite that you see is the kite from the original Mary Poppins with the women's suffragette tail on it.
I think there will be a lot of reference to the original film.
Mm-hmm.
The nostalgic value for that is going to be invaluable to Disney, especially around the holidays.
Yeah, it seems like they're doing a good job of bringing in new, younger audiences and keeping the older audiences happy.
Absolutely. I'm interested to hear the musical numbers in this movie. We've only got a very, very brief taste of it in the most recent trailer.
Yeah, I have to say, before this recent trailer, I wasn't sure that it was going to be a musical.
And what's also interesting to point out is the fact that we're seeing a trailer so late from Disney.
Yeah, they're really keeping this one hush-hush, aren't they?
They've either got something that's golden, or they're just trying to lure us into the theater and keep their fingers crossed.
I'm going with golden on this one.
It does feel like it's movie magic.
Hey Adam, now that we've talked about some upcoming releases from Disney, this is the perfect time to introduce our new segment in which we revisit some classic Disney movies from an adult perspective, and we're calling it Take Two.
And what movie are we starting off with?
We are talking about Bambi.
Bambi.
Yeah.
For those of you that haven't seen Bambi,
Uh-oh.
we're going to throw a big old spoiler alert your way.
Spoilers.
But I have a solution.
What's that?
Pause the podcast, rent Bambi.
Pour yourself a glass of whiskey, unless you're under 21, and then milk is fine.
Watch Bambi, and then restart the podcast and enjoy it.
Yay.
I mean, you've only had 76 years to watch Bambi, but now is the time. Now is the time to do it. This is, of course, the 5th Disney animated feature. It is based on the 1923 book Bambi, A Life in the Woods by Austrian writer Felix Salten, and it was originally published in German. It was very well liked by critics, and it was one of the first novels with an environmental message.
Wow, I didn't know that was the message behind the book.
The animated feature turned 75 last year, and it was directed by David Hand, who oversaw a team of sequence directors, and was released by RKO Radio Pictures on August 13th, 1942.
That is such a long time ago. It feels like yesterday when I watched it for the first time.
Disney obtained the rights in 1937 from MGM, and if you notice at the start of the movie, it's dedicated to filmmaker Sidney Franklin.
Okay.
He served as a consultant until the film's release. He originally wanted to produce the movie for MGM as a live-action movie.
Ooh.
But then he realized, it can't be done. We're living in old-timey Hollywood.
Yeah, that seems like it would have been way ahead of its time.
So he reached out to Walt Disney and said, I really believe that you could do this film some justice. And so he basically gave the movie to Walt Disney.
Smart decision.
It was supposed to be Disney's second feature, but the more adult story proved to be a challenge, and the animators struggled creating a realistic look for the deer.
That makes sense, and they were very realistic. I remember we watched this the other day, and it was incredible to see the movement of the deer.
With those challenges facing them, Disney turned its work to Fantasia, and that movie took priority. In August 1939, the movie got back on track, but there were some really interesting concepts for the movie that never really took shape.
Oh, yeah?
For instance, there were supposed to be multiple rabbit personalities in the film, not just Thumper.
Oh, sure. Now, there was a family of rabbits, but Thumper was sort of the lead rabbit.
That's correct. Thumper's original name was going to be Bobo.
Oh, cute.
The movie was also going to contain a very ornery grasshopper. A Laurel and Hardy like chipmunk and squirrel were supposed to be the comedic relief for the film. There was a scene where Bambi swallowed a bee and it lived in his stomach.
That's terrifying.
There was originally going to be a scene featuring 2 autumn leaves portrayed as an old married couple who fall from the tree to the ground.
That's haunting.
Even darker than that, you were originally going to see Bambi's mother get shot.
Nope, that's too much.
And man burn from his own fire.
And that's way too much.
As far as the look of the film, Disney wanted more realism than previously seen in films like Snow White, Pinocchio, and Dumbo.
Sure, because the animals in those movies were a little more cutesy, right?
It was more fantasy-based.
Sure, and these ones are a lot more lifelike.
So Disney brought in Rico Lebrun, a famous animal painter, and he would lecture the animators on the movement of animals. Animators went to the Los Angeles Zoo, and they even studied a deer corpse to learn how muscles and tendons worked in the animal.
Curiouser and curiouser.
This is really great, though. Disney did end up setting up a small zoo at the studio so that animators could actually watch the animals they would be animating.
That sounds like a circus every day.
One of the animators was Mark Davis, who ardent Disney fans will know was one of the original 9 old men, and he actually came up with the final look for young Bambi, Thumper, and Flower.
Now, I heard he took inspiration from baby faces, human baby faces, to make the expressions on the animals.
That's right. And for creating Bambi, for all that hard work, he was mistakenly credited as Fraser Davis in the credits for the film.
Oh, no.
Fraser is his middle name.
Okay, well, we know the truth.
Mark Davis went on to create the looks for several iconic Disney characters like Tinkerbell, Maleficent, and Cruella de Vil, and he worked on classic Disney attractions like The Enchanted Tiki Room, Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, and The Jungle Cruise.
Just to name a few.
Just to name a few.
So he really made his mark on Disney.
He made his Mark Davis on Disney. The backgrounds for the film were inspired by the Eastern American woodlands. And this is really interesting. A Chinese immigrant named Tyrus Wong served as the de facto art director for the film. He inspired the impressionistic paintings of the woods that are seen in the film.
And they're really beautiful. You feel like you can just get lost in them when they're on a still of the forest. It's like a life-size painting on your screen.
And you really get a sense for the multiplane camera when you experience some of those pans through the woodland landscape.
Absolutely. Now, from what I understand, they used that style so they could so the characters would pop out more. They were realizing that when you saw a deer in a very detailed woods, you couldn't see the deer. You were focused more on trees and the twigs and everything.
Tyrus Wong took his inspiration from the landscape paintings of the Song dynasty. Unfortunately, another credits mishap.
Uh-oh.
He is only listed as a background painter in the credits. So basically, all of the artists went to him for inspiration, but he was only listed as a background painter. Another incredible story behind the making of this film is that Retta Scott became the first credited female animator in a film.
Get it, Retta. Get yours.
She animated the hunting dogs that end up chasing Feline at the end of the movie.
That is a terrifying, terrifying scene.
As the film's production went on, Disney was devoting more and more of its resources to making shorts for the U.S. government. And the fact that Pinocchio and Fantasia had lackluster box office due to World War II, Disney ended up cutting 12 minutes before final animation to save money on the film.
Now, that doesn't seem like a long time, but when you think about the film is only about 70 minutes in length, that's actually a pretty decent chunk of the movie.
Prior to the film's release, Time magazine ran a story featuring Walt Disney saying, "It is the best picture I have ever made and the best ever to come out of Hollywood." Bold statement, Walt Disney.
Yeah, it really swung for the outfield on that one.
Unfortunately, the film lost money in its first release. It cost $1.7 million to make and only made $1.64 million at the box office.
I suppose that makes sense because this is during World War II, right, when resources weren't necessarily going toward entertainment.
And the war prevented access to much of the European market. Critics gave the film mixed reviews. They said it lacked fantasy, and they found fault with the animals being threatened by humans. Manny Farber, a reviewer for the New Republic, called the film entirely unpleasant. The New York Times claimed that Walt Disney was perilously close to tossing away his whole world of cartoon fantasy. And, this should come as no surprise, hunters objected to the film.
What?
Raymond Brown, editor of Outdoor Life, said the film was the worst insult ever to American sportsmen. Time magazine's review said Disney's indictment of men who kill animals for sport is so effective that U.S. sportsmen who have seen the picture are gunning for him.
Yikes.
And even Walt Disney's own daughter, Diane Disney, questioned why Bambi's mother had to die.
But that part is actually in the book, though. It's pretty accurate to the original story.
That's right. And Walt used that excuse, but Diane responded that he had changed elements in other stories that he turned into films, so why couldn't he do that with Bambi?
Never question Walt Disney.
Bambi did end up making money on subsequent releases of the film. You know, Patrick, there are only about 950 words spoken in the film.
You know, I believe that. I was watching it the other day, and I realized how light it was in dialogue and how heavy it was in music.
Which was a very important component to Walt Disney when the film was being made. He wanted it to focus heavily on music and almost use music as a character for the film.
Fair enough. It reminded me a lot of Fantasia, which makes sense because they were making it right around the same time.
The American Film Institute lists it as number 3 in the top 10 animated films of all time, behind Snow White and Pinocchio.
Good job, Disney.
Time magazine listed it in its top 25 horror movies of all time.
That is hilarious to me.
And the character man in the film is number 20 on AFI's list of heroes and villains. Following the film's release, Walt Disney allowed the characters to be used for a year in fire prevention campaigns. But it was only for a year. And once that year was up, who replaced them?
Smokey the Bear.
That's right, Smokey the Bear.
I win.
In December 2011, Bambi was selected for preservation in the Library of Congress National Film Registry.
Now, that means that the film is basically protected, right? They're going to preserve the movie for as long as they possibly can.
That's correct.
Amazing. Adam, I've got a few fun facts about Bambi. Although there are no humans in the movie and it is animated, actress Jane Randolph and Ice Capade star Donna Atwood stood in as references for the scene where Thumper and Bambi were on ice.
And there's a history of Disney doing that in their films, using humans for examples of movement.
That's right. You can kind of see it in Snow White, especially how lifelike she looks when she's dancing. That was a stand-in. Also, Bambi was nominated for 3 Academy Awards, one for Best Sound, one for Best Song for Love is a Song, and one for Original Music Score.
Love is a song.
That's spot on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love those high tenors from the 30s and 40s with a very swoony chorus and a lot of strings behind them.
Mm-hmm. You can almost smell the hot dogs being sold on the street.
Love is a song.
It's just beautiful.
So, Patrick, what were your overall impressions of the film?
I was struck by visually how beautiful it was.
Absolutely.
I don't remember that when I watched it as a child. I guess that's not really something you grasp onto as a kid. And the music was stunning to me. I used to watch all these old Disney movies and think that the music was so old-fashioned and I sort of lost interest in it. But this time I had a real nostalgic feel for it, and it made me pretty emotional, actually. What about you?
First of all, I was grateful for how short it was.
It is pretty short, isn't it?
It is. I was surprised at how short it was because I remember as a child not being that taken with the film.
Okay.
And it seemed like it dragged on forever.
Now, I wonder if that's due to the lack of dialogue and the increase of music and picture, I guess.
I'm sure that played a large part in it.
Sure.
I was really struck by the fact that this is a series of life lessons that are sewn together.
Mm-hmm.
It's a life in a forest.
Sure.
And there's several characters that instill these kind of words of wisdom. Even Thumper does. You know, his mom is reminding him of things his father has told him. Bambi's mother on several occasions will relay life advice to him. The scene where Bambi first experiences winter, she tells him that it won't last forever. There's just these beautiful moments where you really see a parent talking to their child and trying to prepare them for life.
And it still found a way to keep it incredibly whimsical. There was a lot of really great comic moments that happened in this movie that didn't need any dialogue. That scene where Bambi's walking on the ice for the first time, I laughed for about 45 minutes. It was so funny to me. Thumper all the way through is just adorable and hilarious.
I had heard that when they were holding auditions for that role, they had brought in several children to read for Thumper. And the little boy who ended up playing young Thumper was having a really tough time remembering his lines. And so some of those really long, drawn-out pauses between his phrasing in the movie is a direct result of him just not being able to remember his lines.
So they just let him go and be natural, and it was hilarious.
That's right.
I didn't remember Thumper only having one tooth, which gave him a really cute, distinct characteristic.
It's freakish. His one tooth. It's a little odd. When did it become fused?
How does he eat with one tooth?
That's an excellent question. He never needs to floss.
Yeah, that's true. Although I probably don't need many teeth to eat the things that I eat.
You just unhinge your jaw and down the throat they go.
I do. Cake with a straw. Another funny moment in the very beginning, like right off the bat, there's that beautiful scene with the squirrel sort of asleep on the branch, and then he rolls over, and under his tail is a chipmunk, and he's using the squirrel's tail as sort of a fur coat. I thought that was adorable and hilarious.
I do not recall that moment at all.
Did we watch the same movie?
I think so.
Okay. Bambi, right?
I remember the forest animals waking up in the morning, and that is a very extensive sequence. All I could think about watching it as they prep to go see the new prince born in the forest is the Lion King.
I was just about to say that.
Lion King must have been heavily influenced by Bambi.
It seems like it because it happens at the end of the movie as well.
It does.
Speaking of influences from other movies, I couldn't help but think this is a direct result of Fantasia.
Absolutely. The music, the reverence for nature, the kind of sequence of a day in the forest or a life in the forest.
There's this great scene where all of the bucks are running through the forest and they're leaping over the log, and it just looks like a ballet almost.
What really struck me in that scene was that was the first time we heard horns in the accompaniment to the film.
Yeah.
Or at least I think that is, because up until that point it had been very string heavy, very orchestral, kind of pastoral. And then as soon as we see those bucks running through the pasture, we hear those very vibrant brassy horns.
Yeah, they were super selective about how they used instruments and when they used them. It's almost as though some of the characters had their own theme behind them when you saw them come on the screen, or you knew they were going to come on the screen from what you heard.
Yes, I read that Man's theme is often compared to the theme from Jaws.
Okay, that makes sense. It's sort of a little bit darker and like one or two notes are playing. Speaking of Man, I really enjoyed that they never showed a human in the movie. It made it more ominous, right?
It's always more scary when you don't see the thing you're supposed to be afraid of.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that movie Signs, where they're referencing the aliens the entire time, but you never really see them, and that to me was scarier than seeing them.
But Bambi bested Signs because you do see the alien at the end, and you're like, why did they do that? Why did they show it? Swing away. Swing away.
So many glasses of water.
You know, Bambi contains several different animation styles. We mentioned the backgrounds being influenced by the Song Dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
But if you notice during the film, the animals have a very realistic look to them.
That's true.
But then there are sequences that are very surrealistic.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For instance, after Bambi and Feline meet as young adults, there's a very dreamy, cloud-like sequence.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminded me a little bit of Oklahoma, the Dream Ballet.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, there was just sort of ethereal movement and song, and
it reminded me of Can You Feel the Love Tonight from The Lion King.
So many references.
Yeah. And did you notice that after that sequence when Bambi gets shaken out of that dream state and he starts fighting with that other young buck who's trying to win Feline?
Absolutely.
The animation becomes very dark, almost silhouetted against very vibrant, colorful backgrounds.
Yeah, that's true. It all just definitely seems like a dream ballet sequence, right?
And even the forest fire sequence is very surreal with a lot of oranges and purples being introduced into the film where you didn't really see that before.
I read that Walt Disney, I don't know if it was specifically for Bambi, but it was around this time instilled an effects department. So when you see the fire or the water or the heavy snow falling, he put a team together to make that happen as opposed to just one animator trying to do it all.
Should we talk about the big spoiler moment?
Here we go.
We kind of already addressed it, or at least mentioned it. Bambi's mother dies.
Oy vey.
It's a dark element to be in an animated film.
It is. It's a heavy, heavy moment that I wish I knew how I felt about it when I saw it for the first time. I wish I could recapture that and know. Did I know it was happening?
Did we fully understand what happened?
Exactly.
Our parents perhaps had a very frank conversation with us after watching that sequence, or maybe they sugarcoated it and just said, Bambi's mother has gone to a farm in upstate New York, and she lives there.
Aw, I hope that's what they did for me.
Final thoughts?
All in all, I really loved it. I didn't think that I was going to be as attached to it again as I was.
I was really surprised by how endearing the animals were to me as an adult.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely as a child, you found them cute, but as an adult, kind of looking back on your own childhood, you can draw those connections to the experiences that you had and the experiences that the animals are having in the movie.
Yeah, I really recommend that. If you haven't seen Bambi yet, go see it. And if you have already seen it, see it again. Give it a fresh look and send us your comments.
Yeah, I'd really be interested to hear what everyone out there thinks about either their first viewing of the movie or going back and watching it again and comparing it to what you remember seeing as a child and experiencing as a child.
You know what, Adam? I had a really fun time watching this movie.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Yes, I did. Adam, do you know what I'm in the mood for?
What's that?
Some Quick D.
I'm in the mood for it, too.
Yay! For those who don't know, Quick D is where Adam and I ask each other one question that we have not previously discussed prior to this show. Adam, I've got a Quick D for you.
Lay it on me.
All right. Evil Queen Rebecca is forcing you to marry one of the 7 dwarfs. Which one do you marry?
Do we need to explain to those who don't know who Evil Queen Rebecca is?
I suppose.
Evil Queen Rebecca is the evil queen from Snow White, who we have named
Evil Queen Rebecca.
Rebecca. Yes. Okay, so I'm marrying one of the 7 dwarfs.
Yes.
Because Evil Queen Rebecca has deigned it so?
Yes.
I'm going Sleepy.
Interesting. Why Sleepy?
I feel like we have a lot in common. I'm pretty sleepy.
Fair.
I like a nice nap.
Yeah.
I like a nice midday snooze.
That's true.
I like a nice after-work, early evening snooze.
I bet he's a good cuddler.
I like a pre-bed snooze and then also going to bed.
Okay.
Patrick, are you ready for my Quick D?
I'm always ready for that.
What would your Bambi forest creature name be and why?
I'm so glad you asked. I think it would be Bumpy. Bumpy. Because I'm a very clumsy person, as you may know, and I bump into things a lot. So I feel like I would be maybe a possum?
Sure.
Bumping in the night?
Sure.
Yeah. Also, I get frisky once in a while, and Bumpy it is. That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for joining us. To ensure that you don't miss an episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcast, Google Play Music, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you prefer to listen. And hey, while you're there, consider leaving a review. Don't forget, our contest ends on October 5th. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at GDTD Podcast. Leave us a comment or review, and you could be our first winner. You can also find us on our website at gaysdothed.com. Join the conversation by submitting your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See you real soon.